Meet Ogu, the cutest little creature you've ever laid eyes on, and this little platypus is gonna save the world. Today, I'm playing 100% of Ogu and the Secret Forest. In order to do this, we need to return the 6 elemental sigils to the heart of the world and defeat the evil god and their trash monster cronies. At the same time, though, we'll also have to catch every single bug and fish, become the champion of an underground fight ring, solve puzzles, find a lost legendary fisherman, master advanced mech suit warfare to defeat cactus giants, and collect all 87 hats, among many other things. That's a lot for a little baby Ogu. Look at him go! Before we start, I want to say a huge thank you to Ogu in the Secret Forest for sponsoring this video. This was genuinely, like, unbiased, one of my favorite games that I've played this year, and if you're like me and you enjoy games with adventure, lore, boss battles, puzzles, and an incredibly adorable art style, definitely click the link in the description down below and go check out Ogu in the Secret Forest on Steam. It's also on sale right now, so now's the time. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. That is the cutest little guy. Game of the year. And with that, we embarked on our adventure, which began with these 3 little frogs about to be eaten by the thickest caterpillar I've ever laid eyes on. Ogu's here to save the day. I have been awakened. Oh, it's just a comic book. Never mind. I was so excited. I did a couple zoomies around my bedroom, and before setting out on our journey, larger Ogu, who I assume this is like my parent or legal guardian, reminded me to grab my butterfly net and hat before heading out. Don't go to dangerous places. Thank you, I will. I began exploring the surrounding area and whacked this grass, revealing a couple leaves and branches. Soon after, I met Miss Sheep, some kind of shop owner, who advised me not to follow strangers, as well as Mr. Cow, the baker. I continued running around town, perching my little platypus behind on every sittable surface before I spotted something. Precious creature! I followed this mysterious bird, mowing everyone's lawns as I went, and ran into a new friend, a funny little mole named Doogie who specializes in digging dirt. This looks like a job for Doogie. Oh, he's literally calling him. Doogie is here on the double. I'm starting to become afraid of this bird. Starting to think this thing is like a god. And just then, the little crow started glowing along with the rune symbol on the cliffside. Okay. Wait, I think I'm ascending. Did I align my chakras, perhaps? Oh wow, okay. I regained consciousness on some kind of stone platform when a bright white orb appeared in front of me and began speaking to me. Sorry to have summoned you to this world without your permission. This world has been in dire need of someone like you. Take this feather and go to the village in the east where the sun rises. Okay. Rainbow feather. Little monkey! The chieftain always said one day a hero will come and save the world. Looking through my adventure journal, there were certainly many places to explore. We've got a lot to do. But before setting off for this faraway land, I explored the secret grove, finding a rare golden leaf and catching my first bug, a forest chafer. I was whacking any bushes I could find, getting some money along the way too, and ended up bumping into this weird hot air balloon monkey. Oh, hi there. This is Tsum Tsum Express every day at your service. This world is made up of 6 different regions. It's way too big to explore on foot. Oh, thank goodness I have a monkey for that. Unfortunately, I didn't have a ticket to ride the Tsum Tsum Express, so it looked like we'd be going on foot for the time being. But honestly, this didn't seem too bad. The views were beautiful, and I even met this little dog artist. I'm traveling all over the world to paint beautiful sights. I left my footprints on each place worthy of painting. Here, I'll give you some drawing tools so you can draw as well. With my new art supplies, I located Maltese's art spot and drew my first painting before continuing on toward the village of the sun. After catching a cabbage butterfly, eviscerating this patch of bushes, and finding 500 gold just sitting behind a tree, oh my days! I investigated the big stone tablet, which stated that once God's faith was shattered, the Pure One would restore harmony with the help of the monkeys. Am I the chosen one? Am I the Pure One? I would be. Look at my figure. But to prove my abilities and gain access to the eastern jungle, I first needed to solve this beetle's puzzle. How do I... Oh, I did it. I did it. By hitting these monkey statues, I was able to move the barriers and navigate the maze, and in doing so, the beetle granted me with the power of Strong Beetle, which allowed me to push around objects like these stones. Using this power, I found a fruit of healthiness and another chest containing 700 gold. Baby Ogu is getting very rich. Oh, I don't like that fellow up there, that little feller. I scared the monkey. Oh, I immediately set off to follow the masked monkey. Ugh, Miss Sheep would be very disappointed in me. By whacking these 2 glowing monkeys, monkey statues, I opened up the path and also collected my first heart apple, bringing my total HP to 4. We were hot on the monkey's trail, though I did take some time to catch more new bugs and draw our next landmark. Watermelon chafer. Sorry. Although I found the gates to the Village of the Sun, they were completely closed, so I continued on to the east in search of the masked monkey, encountering some adorable little garbage enemies along the way. Oh, they're so cute! Oh, they're enemies. Oh, that's unfortunate. According to my adventure journal, these guys emitted a foul smell, and sure enough, when I crossed their little mud puddle, baby Ogu had become stinky. But luckily, there was a hot spring nearby that instantly washed away my stench. And it was there that I met Bosong, another monkey enjoying the hot spring. Could you go and check 3 different hot springs for me? Okay, we gotta find 3 hot springs. In the meantime, what is that little creature? This white bird apparently knew a way into the Village of the Sun, so we struck a deal. If I could return their stuff that was stuck in the cave, they would take me to the village. I solved the puzzle and opened the gate, heading into our first dungeon. After completing this elaborate puzzle, getting my second heart apple, and activating various glowing monkey statues, we were able to proceed. What is this? I just get killed. Little Ogu was alive. Not thriving, but not dead. And so I awoke in the Village of the Sun, which was convenient. I mean, this was my destination anyway, but I definitely was hoping to make a better first impression. How dare you try to steal our treasure? Hey, step aside. I can't see anything. We found this glowing feather. No, don't take my feather. There's an old saying. I love this guy. The one with the glowing feather shall reunite the lost pieces. I don't know where you found that glowing feather, but let me put you to a test. Overcome the trial at the Temple of the Sun and bring me the Sigil of the Sun. Before accepting this challenge, I wanted to explore the village a bit, so after doing a little drawing and confronting the bird that set me up, I immersed myself in the life and culture of the monkey village. I even learned this traditional monkey dance that could literally replenish my health. Checking out the village map, though, it was clear we'd barely scratched the surface. You can buy masks and various kinds of items in the Eastern Shopping District. Oh, that's where I'm going. Don't forget to check out the wonderful scenery at the Western Observatory. This place is huge. I was excited to spend some of my riches at the market, but first, I checked out the training grounds, speaking to Commander Popo, who requested 5 explosive fruits for his soldiers' training regimen. I found some of these fruits north of the training grounds and near the dancing monkeys, but I was much too eager to check out the market. The first vendor was selling various foods, and the one next door sold interior house decorations. But the one I was most excited about was the one selling masks and hats. I purchased the flower crown and petal mask before continuing to the north, finding my 3rd explosive fruit and clearing out this koala's yard, inadvertently making a new friend along the way. I also took in the view from the observatory deck, and watching Maltese do their thing, I felt inspired to do a little drawing myself. Ooh. I continued exploring the village and stumbled across this fisher monkey who gave me bait to try and fish on the dock. I'm generally pretty skeptical of fishing minigames because they all feel so similar, but after catching a short marlin, rice fish, and a file fish, I concluded that this fishing mechanic absolutely slaps. In fact, I was starting to develop a bit of a problem. I purchased a ton more bait from the monkey and continued fishing until I got a flatfish, an adamant fish, and a piranha, but the saw-edged perch and sturgeon continued to elude me. After like 30 minutes of fishing with no luck, I assumed maybe I needed some type of upgrade to catch them, which turned out to be correct, because this fisher monkey told me a tale about the Legendary Fisherman's hat. They didn't know where the Legendary Fisherman was, but they told me of someone that did, located somewhere in the Moon Forest. I figured I'd cross that bridge when I got there, but for now, my goal was to take on the Chieftain's Trial. With another heart apple collected, I ascended the mountain and entered the temple. The rooms were filled with trash monsters of all sizes, but I couldn't find a way through until I found the puzzle solution hidden in the grass. It's a fake! Getting another heart apple in the process, I moved on to the next puzzle room. By carefully weighing each stone, I was able to put them in the correct order and activate the first glowing monkey. And after defeating 2 more monkey sentries, I came across the next puzzle. What is that? Oh, do I have to like launch the rocks? Deploy! And with the barricades lowered, I entered the main room. Little Ogu had their first big boss battle coming up. Oh gosh! Using my expert trebuchet skills, I launched several boulders, bringing the monkey's health down substantially. And after some close calls, I was able to deal the final blow. We did it! Oh, chill. In defeating the trial of the guardian monkey statue, I walked out onto a beautiful viewing deck and received our first sigil. Let's go! And having collected it, I checked in with the village chieftain, who told me that I would need to collect the sigils of the sun, moon, fire, water, earth, and tree, and reassemble them at the heart of the world in order to save everyone. The heart of the world was a very long walk away, but luckily, I knew just the service to help out. Sung Sung Express, baby! The chieftain was kind enough to give me an unlimited Sung Sung Express ticket and a world map. So with that, I set off to the heart of the world to return the sun sigil. Oh, yay! That was the greatest experience. I have never seen a more beautiful sight. Delivered to the heart of the world, flying Pikachu style, I placed the sigil in its position, obtaining the Adventure Begins achievement, and opening up 3 new paths to explore, as well as many quest lines to pursue, one for each sigil. But before I had a chance to make my next move, I was visited by this little munchkin, Kiki! Ever since I saw you for the first time, I knew you were the chosen one who would save the world. This is the key to the house we've prepared in case we finally meet the chosen one. I get a little monkey house. I'm sure it'll be helpful for your adventure, so please visit the house at the southeast of the village. Oh my gosh! Collecting all the sigils and saving the world was important and all, but that would have to wait because baby Ogu now owned real estate. This is my house? Kiki showed me around, casually mentioning the eternal flame in my basement, a ball of fire that glows as bright as the sun, allowing me to grow crops. You know, just your basic household necessities. Monkey construction robots, a massive chamber with an odd symbol on the floor, an ancient monkey helmet, and a small sun. With the help of my monkey robots, I tilled and planted some of the wild seeds I'd found earlier, and then checked out this massive room Kiki had mentioned. And upon stepping in the center of the stone carving, I was instantly teleported to the basement of a museum. Oh, finally, the chosen one has arrived. Everyone knows. There, I met Gogo, the caretaker of the museum, who had a small favor to ask. Since you already are on your adventure, could you perhaps collect the knowledges around the world? You just need to put all kinds of insects, fish, minerals, and plants on the exhibition stands. Oh boy. If I completed the museum though, it would open an ancient chamber, and even Gogo didn't know what was inside. So to get started, I donated all the fish I'd caught in a single watermelon chafer. Not much. We've got lots of work to do. Honestly, I love finishing museum collections, so I went bug catching for a bit, getting a tiger swallowtail and some other common bugs for the museum. But in my bug catching journey, I managed to find a brand new area. There was a ton of stuff, including Maltese's house and Olive the elephant, the best chef in the world. That is quite a lofty title. Olive was on a mission to prove the greatness of Eastern cuisine and wanted a traditional recipe from the Village of the Sun, which she'd been blacklisted from. I agreed to help her and received a portable frying pan to help me on my culinary journey. And soon after, I bumped into Cacao, an acolyte of the divine beast of the earth. They explained to me that the divine beasts had stored their power in totems around the world, and only the chosen one, that's me, could harness their power. And to begin my totem collection, Cacao handed me a totem of abundance. There are more people who can assist you in harnessing the power of divine beasts. Meet the chief priest of the desert in the east, chief priest of the water in the southwest, and the chief priest of snow in the north. And directly after, I stumbled across some leftover clan propagandists talking to people on the beach. No idea what that meant either, but I walked down to check it out, and this place was weird. Remember the leftover clan asked me if I'm good at using a blow dart? What is happening? And things just kept getting weirder because right after, I found Sung Sung behind this tree just laughing evilly. What is going on? Also this tree, too. As I continued south entering Harbor Town, I continued to catch new bugs, ultimately stumbling across an intriguing building. Sung Sung Express headquarters. Oh my gosh, no, this is my worst nightmare. Turns out, Sung Sung is not an individual monkey. It's a whole lifestyle, a community, maybe even a cult. And it felt very weird. This Sung Sung joked that Sung Sung balloons were inflated with his farts, and I took that as my cue to leave. In stark contrast though, Harbor Town was incredibly beautiful. I quickly caught a maple beetle and drew the Harbor Town fountain before spotting Esmeralda, a real estate agent, and Edison, an antiques dealer, standing outside the museum. Apparently, Gogo had kept the doors to the museum locked, but with hope for completing the collection, it was now open. Edison quickly took interest in these broken artifacts and told me they had some documents in his shop that could help with their restoration. After donating the critters I had on hand, I caught a water butterfly and a bunch of new fish on the dock, and then spent some of my gold on a pirate hat, a bandana, bandana, and a mohawk hairstyle. Ogu is in their rebel phase. Upon helping this bulldog sailor deliver a letter, I ran into the pottery maker, Popo, who instantly observed my round body, strong muscles, and confidence. The perfect qualities for making pottery. Pottery maker beauty standards these days. Popo whisked me into their home, but before we could learn to make anything, we needed to get the champion beetle to teach us how to lift, a skill I did not yet have. With that on pause, I continued exploring around Harbor Town and dropped through this very inconspicuous hole into an underground fight ring. And once again, my beautiful platypus physique was very much appreciated. Small body but strong muscles, stop looking at me! To become the champion of this fight ring, I would need to max out my glory points, which you earn by defeating opponents. For my first fight, I took on this plant beetle with a nice flower on its back, but clearly I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Oh, what the heck? Eventually, I realized that by incapacitating the flower beetle, I could take out its minions and easily win the fight, earning me a bunch of money and gifts. This boss rush kind of vibe had me hooked, so I headed straight into my next fight against some monkey warriors. Oh, they have the explosive fruits. Can I borrow one of those to finish a quest, please? With only 2 HP, I was definitely tempting fate, but thankfully, I was able to heal throughout the fight and took out one and then both monkeys. And next up was the giant desert rhino, who I defeated, as well as these little poison barb guys and these projectile guys. But the totem shaman? Definitely a problem. I was sussed out right as the fight began. What? No! Same thing happened with this cactus guy. I pricked myself on the spines, then immediately got slapped and died. Not my best performance, for sure. But although my win streak was over, I realized that in order to get the arena champion achievement, I didn't have to beat every boss undefeated. I simply had to reach 100 glory points, and those could still be gained by defeating bosses I'd already taken down. Things were going smoothly, and with only a handful of glory points remaining until I hit 100, it was down to one final battle. A rematch against the giant desert rhino. And by anticipating the locations of his stone attacks and luring him into charging at his own boulders, I made easy work of it. With all my earnings from the underground fight club, I decided to go on a bit of a shopping spree, buying a rubber duck and paper boat hat, as well as all the flooring options in the harbor. Then I headed back to the Village of the Sun to plant some special seeds, and most importantly, find the last explosive fruit for the soldier monkeys. I eventually spotted it just downstream of the training grounds and handed it off to Commander Poco, who became our new friend, one that I could summon to explode large rocks on demand. I also got the commander's mask and then cleared out the village market, purchasing all the masks from Orang, including their own, which got me the Mask Artisan achievement. I'd gotten a lot done in the Village of the Sun, but the traditional recipe for olives still eluded me. But I mean, here I was, searching for a recipe to give the best chef in the world, and baby Ogu had never cooked a day in their life. I decided to give it a shot with a simple fruit of healthiness stir fry, which did not go well. My jaunt through the forest was cut short though when I came upon this big pile of dirt blocking my path. Apparently, I didn't have a friend who could remove it, but I could have sworn that Doogie was supposed to be able to. I thought Doogie was my day one. Like, does this mean we're not friends anymore? I'm actually sad. Devastated, I turned around and wandered into the snowy area where I met this agent monkey. They explained to me that monkeys from the Village of the Sun were being deceived into fleeing here, and that it had something to do with the Sigil of the Earth. And if this was bad news, my first look at Snowflake Village was somehow even worse. There were some sketchy characters importing these white balls, and this poor polar bear was not thriving. After solving this ice maze, I learned the power of the Crusher Beetle, a wild headbutt move that allowed me to break weaker rocks and this frozen pond, which I promptly fished from. I caught a snow anchovy, a pond smelt, and a trout before entering the Snowflake Village, and the first thing I noticed was social unrest. According to the mayor, a machine was in the making that could regulate the severe snowstorms impacting the village's food supply. But I had a feeling that the mayor wasn't the most trustworthy guy in the world. And upon speaking with Paul, this detective, my suspicions were confirmed. He'd been investigating the mayor's corruption and explained that severe snowstorms in the area had frozen over all their sources of fish. The current mayor took advantage of this food crisis, supplanting his predecessor by offering up the mysterious white fruit, those weird white balls we'd seen earlier. He also promised a climate-regulating machine that would put an end to the devastating storms, but even in subjecting villagers to labor in the mines to gather materials, trials, he still had no progress to show for it. I agreed to help Paul build his case by gathering evidence, with the hope that I'd also uncover what was going on with the fleeing monkeys and the sigil of the earth. First things first though, I got the lay of the land drawing Snowflake Village and then purchased a beanie hat to help with the cold. All geared up, I headed around town and began searching for clues. I built a massive snowman for this little bear, caught a salmon, and freed the hot springs to thaw out the chief priest of the snow. Not only was this our first new hot spring for Bosong, but in saving the priest from the ice, I also earned a new totem slot. I drew the Snow Mountain hot spring to commemorate the moment and caught a couple regional bugs before arriving at the entrance to the mayor's secret research facility. Completely disregarding the no trespassing sign, I made my way inside, and in front of the main entrance stood a bear guard. This blue glow around them indicated their shield, meaning that I had to headbutt them to take down their defenses before I could attack. So I did just that, killing the bear and doing a little victory dance before entering the mayor's research facility. With the guards now alerted of my presence, we would need to sneak our way through the last portion of the facility. Well, uh-oh. Wait, it's the bird! Wait, no, where's it going? Oh, it's telling me to crawl in there. The bird is God. I said it once, I'll say it again. Crawling through this small gap in the fence, I was now on a stealth mission, carefully avoiding the bear guards until I made it to this gigantic crystal. Not sure what it was, but it definitely wasn't a snowstorm regulator. I snatched the blueprints as evidence for Paul and drew a fun picture of it before entering the crystal mines. Wait, can I use the headbutt to break the rocks? I ran through the mines gathering rocks, but unfortunately without the proper tools, I couldn't pick up gems. But shortly after, I came across the primary mining site where I met the Bear Jeweler. They granted me a set of gemstone cutting tools, and on my very first try, I cut a perfect diamond. I think I found Ogu's true calling. Drawing out the gemstone map, I got an idea of all the minerals I could collect from each region, and then cleared out the blocked pathways in the mine as a favor to the bear mine foreman, who let me in on the true purpose of the minerals. According to ancient records, minerals from the crystal mines had the power to control divine beasts. Wasn't looking too good for the mayor here. I took the ancient records as evidence before making friends with Carrie, who was able to crush big ice blocks, but the investigation wasn't over yet. My third and final lead was at the ration center, where the white fruits were being distributed. Despite the heavy snow and strong gusts of wind, I slowly made my way up the mountain, reading about Rano, the divine beast of the sky, and entering the West Sky Crocodile Temple. There, I learned that the white fruit was actually created by the god of trash. I even found the orchard where the fruits were being grown. I entered the main temple and was greeted by this strange little fella. Kinda looks like the older brother of the Animal Crossing Squeakoid, if I'm being honest. See if you can chase me until the end? Not feeling good about this. These little guys riding trash monsters started shooting darts and throwing explosive fruits at me, but I continued to slash my way through the compound until I came across 4 monkeys conducting some kind of ceremony. These were the monkeys defecting from the Village of the Sun, and they were leaving in order to follow the god of trash. I defeated all 4 and headed deeper, encountering a bunch of poor monkeys who'd been tricked and imprisoned. And it was in this dungeon that I came face to face with the Squeakoid Supreme, also known as Kupu, who was convinced that the Village of the Sun was predicated on a web of lies. Beneath the heart of the world lies Tao, the divine beast resembling a monkey like us, is bound by seals and indwelled with the power of the god of trash. The creatures in this world are particularly influenced by the divine beasts that resemble them. Chieftain and the elders feared our vulnerability to corruption, so they deceived us and confined us to the jungles. I've abandoned Village of the Sun, where truth is ignored and villagers are forced into unfair meditation. Okay. After fighting the guards, taking their keys, and breaking the innocent monkeys out of jail, I was rewarded with my third and final piece of evidence, a contract signed by Kupu. I made my way out of the temple, passing what I assumed to be a statue of Tao, the monkey divine beast Kupu was talking about, and dropped off the contract with Paul. This was all the evidence we needed to prove the mayor's wrongdoing, so I rang the town bell and gathered all the residents of the town to reveal the truth. The mayor had allied with Kupu, a trader from the Village of the Sun, who agreed to help with his mayoral campaign. They took advantage of the severe weather and gained the villagers' favor with fruits created by the trash god that incapacitated them. Oh no, I already ate 2 of them this morning. It's all over for you. With Snowflake Village in your hand, you mined the minerals to assist Kupu's scheme, and those minerals are infused with power to control the legendary divine beasts. All this time, what you've been developing wasn't a snowstorm regulator, but a divine beast manipulator. Oh, dang. The mayor confessed to his crimes, but before we could do anything, he jumped into an ancient shrew transportation device and blasted off over the wall. And, of course, it was up to me to catch him. Let me smash my head against it. I got this, guys. I am the savior. Entering the fortress, I caught my first glimpse of the massive airship they'd been building, and in this moment, the mayor's true intentions became clear. His goal was to conquer Rano and imbue the power of the trash god onto the whole world by dropping garbage from the skies. With this devious plan in motion, the mayor flew off, leaving me to face off against Kupu. The fight against Kupu wasn't too bad. He would pretty much just multiply himself, and I had to hit the real one while dodging explosive fruit. But for his final phase, he beefed himself up and called in the air support, forcing me to deliver 3 headbutts before I could do any damage. After a long battle, I landed the final slaps with my bug net and defeated the traitorous monkey. That was actually, like, a little bit difficult, but we did it. At this point, the mayor's airship seemed long gone, but luckily, Agent Monkey was able to hack into one of the planes, and then the white bird broke it. This guy actually sucks so bad. With no plane, there was only one way to reach the airship. Paul and Agent Monkey bid me farewell as I floated up into the sky, and when I arrived on the ship, I just started headbutting any machinery that seemed important while also attacking the mayor. And in defeating the final bazooka bear, the plane completely exploded, leaving little Ogu to drift down unharmed. But the mayor's landing was not quite so graceful. The divine beast of the sky! Whoa! Our first divine beast, and we get an achievement for that! A hero with the rainbow feather. Were it not for your intervention, I would have faced considerable peril. I bestow upon you the sigil of the earth. Our second sigil! Still, as Rano explained, some of these evil forces remained on Sky Island. However, I wasn't able to get around the Sky Islands without Rano's hat, and to prove I was worthy of it, Frocko gave me a test to charge up this light. Unfortunately, I couldn't seem to hit the statue fast enough to fill up the meter, but if Rano's crocolites weren't gonna give me, the chosen one, the headgear I needed to eliminate the bad guys on their island, then I wasn't gonna prioritize it. Instead, I headed back to the heart of the world, returning the sigil of the earth. That's 2 down, 4 to go. But as I went to leave, this random altar suddenly appeared. I offered up a cabbage butterfly, and to my surprise, a portal spawned, transporting me to the room of the divine beast. Here, I could catch any bug from within the world, but I was only allowed to take 1. This would definitely help considerably in my quest to complete the museum. I caught a leaf dragonfly and then continued to explore the world, stumbling across the Road of Proof. It was in this beautiful autumn grove that I met the 2 beetles who'd taught me their powers. Unfortunately though, to enter the sanctuary, I needed to first learn all the other beetle powers and prove myself. In the meantime, I continued to find Rano's bug rooms, catching a cloud beetle and a glowing chafer before setting off into the desert, a whole new area to explore. I harvested some prickly pears and continued into the canyon until an earth beetle called out to me. They warned me that there were foul beasts awaiting on the path, but I dealt with them no problem. This scary cactus monster was a different story entirely. I literally got stuck in this cactus and just died. After that hiccup, I steered clear of Macetus and met up with the earth beetle. Yeah, I emerged victorious. You could definitely say those words, for sure. For proving my strength by definitely defeating the cactus monster, which I did. He bestowed upon me the power of the earth beetle, which allowed me to roll and avoid danger. After a quick test of my new ability, I entered the underground cavern, coming across a Shrew archaeologist who very helpfully guided me to the temple where the Sigil of Fire was located. Unfortunately though, I couldn't be allowed in. When the sigil fell into the temple, it attracted a ton of trash monsters drawn to its power. Giant cactus monsters emerged and started eating the shrews. Frightened, the shrews dug a complicated maze and hid themselves deep underground. The archaeologist enlisted my help, handing me a dowsing machine hat that could detect shrew relics when I danced. And following a quick drawing of the hippo guarding the temple, I donned my dowsing hat and got to work, dancing in the underground cavern, but unfortunately, no dice. This maze of rooms was incredibly disorienting, and I had no idea what I was doing or where I was going. But that's when I found the bird. When Bird God does a little jig for you, that's how you know you're going in the right direction. I did a little dance next to this wall, blasting it open and revealing the Shrew Village. There, I was brought to the captain who showed me the Mecha Shrew DTATG 5000 they were building to fight back against the giant cactus monsters. But to complete this Mecha Shrew, they first needed 3 samples, one from each type of cactus monster to understand the enemy they were up against. After a debrief from the Shrew researcher regarding regarding the locations of the Cactus Trio, a quick sketch of the underground maze, I set off into the desert to find Macetus. And this time, I actually beat them, earning a sample of their thick peeling. Kinda nasty, to be honest. But overall, everything seemed to be going smoothly until I stumbled across this thing. I continued to roam through the desert in the other direction and found this random statue under the sand, inside of which was the chief priest of the desert. They asked that I take out the trash monsters in the Sky Crocodile's temple, and to help me, gave me the instructions for opening the gate. If I cleaned up the temple, the priest promised me they would increase my powers even more. And if there's anyone that's on a quest for power, it is definitely Baby Ogu. That being said though, Baby Ogu knows their limits, and after coming across another big man, I'd had enough of the desert for the time being. From there, I ballooned to Harbor Town to donate the many fish, bugs, and gems I'd gathered during my travels. And it was then that I remembered Edison, the frog who'd shown interest in restoring the artifacts, so I paid him a visit. And in turn, he gave me a hint that showed where an artifact piece might be buried. However, I couldn't dig up any of the artifact pieces until I got the special hat from Popo the Potter. And seeing as I still didn't have the beetle lifting power, Edison's project would have to wait. In the meantime, I headed toward the Moon Forest, saying hi to my least favorite bird of all time, and oh boy, this place is creepy. You can bounce on the mushrooms though, so that's quite nice. Whacking the grass, I found a glowing reed leaf and a patterned chafer before moving on to this puzzle. And by orienting these pieces the right way, I opened up the passage south, hitting a glowing bug statue, and did the same thing for the northern passage. But instead of another statue, the passage west revealed a very confused bug, dazed in the hypnotizing glow of this red ball of slime. I pushed it out of the way, saving them, and then moved on through the gate, coming across a maze overseen by none other than the champion beetle. And by navigating the maze, I finally earned the lifting power. Using this power, I saved more bugs and solved a couple more slime color puzzles, eventually making it to the Moonlight Village. And it was here that one of the bug villagers explained to me that the color of their underpants represented the light color they were most vulnerable to. That's very self-aware of you. I appreciate that, like thinking ahead, you know? Speaking with Vivi though, it was clear that there were more pressing issues than underwear color. Moonlight Village used to be a lively place filled with bugs, but that all stopped when the silk moth hero, the village's guardian, took the Sigil of the Moon and disappeared to the north. That's a bit rough, for sure. After supporting the local economy and catching a bunch of new fish, I continued on into the mining area, getting a quick crash course on this explosive jelly. Essentially, you just smack it and then run away. Before continuing on though, I agreed to help the laboratory chief find his son in the jelly mining farm, which had been overtaken by the silk moth hero's servants. Using the hypnotizing effects of the slime balls, I was able to paralyze and kill them to make my way through. Genuinely such a cool game mechanic. I solved many color slime puzzles until I reached the mine's power plant, and there I spotted the chief's son, who wasn't looking too good. But we needed to rescue him quickly because the energy cores in the power plant suddenly began to overload. Power plant is unstable. Oh gosh. I had about 4 minutes to rescue the chief's son before the whole thing exploded, so I started blasting my way through using the explosive jelly and my trusty little noggin to get to the poor bug. Thankfully, we freed him just in time, and he was able to stabilize the power plant again, giving me a chance to sit down for a little drawing session. Following such a stressful scenario, I decided to take a relaxing stroll up this moonlit path and ended up finding this fisher bug. And they turned out to be the one with the knowledge of the legendary fisherman's whereabouts. To get this knowledge though, I would need to catch 3 jelly trout for them, so I got to work and began fishing up a storm. After a while, I managed to catch 4 in total, 3 for the bug and 1 for the museum. And of course, after all this effort, they had no idea where the legendary fisherman was. But they did know the last person who saw them, someone located by the northern storehouse in the jungle outskirts. With this knowledge, I returned to the laboratory chief, and in exchange for saving his son, he gifted me a miner's hat to light up the dark. And it was a good thing too, because the next region I headed to explore was the ruins, and this area was pitch black. While exploring around though, I faced another puzzle and obtained the silk moth crystal ball. And this hat would be incredibly important down the line. Instrumental in saving the world, one could say, so remember this hat. Eventually though, I reached yet another hot spring where I took a quick soak and drew a picture before continuing on to the Temple of the Moon crossroad. We were faced with yet another color matching puzzle, but the inscription said that the answer was in the 3 bugs. At first I had no clue what this meant, but then I remembered the statues I'd seen from the Monkey Village observation deck. I placed the colors accordingly and thus opened the path to the Temple of the Moon. This time there were 5 passages to explore. In one, a battle with the temple's guard, and in the others, more glowing bug statues to activate through various means. I did get myself yet another heart apple, which was fantastic, but I also found messages of warning throughout the rooms. Notably, the temple inscriptions warned against breaking the sacred barrier and described how the sigil amplifies the intentions of its owner. But I ignored these warnings as I continued north, and as I crossed the bridge, the Silk Moth hero even spoke to me directly, offering one final chance. I ignored that as well and continued forward. Oh, I love your little proportions. Yo! I was definitely a little intimidated by fallen Silk Moth hero at first, but once I got in the groove of slapping the mothballs back at them and evading their attacks, I was able to land a couple big flurry attacks, defeating them once and for all. Let's go! Oh, it's so cute! Please accept my gratitude. Thanks to you, the voice that controlled me disappeared. The Silk Moth hero acknowledged how the Sigil of the Moon had awoken its evil intentions, but since I was pure of heart, strong, and greedless, their words, not mine, they willingly gave it to me, and in doing so, I made a new friend. I returned to the Moonlight Village and celebrated my win with another shopping spree before returning to the heart of the world to place the Sigil of the Moon inside. And for this, I got the Darkness Be Gone achievement. Baby Ogu had grown quite a bit since we first started, so I decided to go through the beginning areas again with my new powers to see if there was anything I missed. And sure enough, in lifting this boulder, I found the jungle outskirts, home to a whole monkey encampment. Not far from the camp, I noticed a mountain pass along the eastern canyon, and at the end of it was an entrance to a cave. With these banana rocks, I was able to open the door and entered to find Monk Gota just chilling out. Gota gave me the rundown on the lore, explaining that a long time ago, their god had been broken into pieces and vanished, and in their place emerged the god of trash. The divine beast joined forces to vanquish the evil god, but soon after, vanished themselves. According to Gota, the trash monsters that remained could only be eliminated with purifying water, which could be found in the storehouse. Having retrieved the key from the cliffside, I made my way up north to find it, but found that the situation was more dire than I thought. Somehow, a monkey golem on the inside of the storehouse had become corrupted by the trash and was going on a rampage. Before handling that, I took these stairs up to another body of water, and there, I found the fisher monkey that the bug had told me about. It actually seemed like they had the information I was looking for this time regarding the Legendary Fisherman, but to get it, I'd need to catch a solar fish. I caught it with no problem and was finally granted with a trail to follow. They told me that the Legendary Fisherman was somewhere in the desert hunting a legendary fish, and with that, I proceeded into the storehouse to take on the corrupted monkey golem. Yeah, this guy was looking real bad, for sure. At first, I thought I was supposed to load the barrels of purifying water onto the trebuchet, but this was not the case. Basically, I needed to break the barrels, cover the rocks in water, and then shoot them at the golem. A process which clearly delivers far less water, but I digress. I continued to do this, slowly whittling down the golem and eventually landing the final blow, which opened up the gates to the remains of memory. Following a quick drawing session, I spoke again with Gota, who revealed to me that there weren't just 3 divine beasts, but 4. As we learned while battling Kupu, Tao was the divine beast of wisdom, who seemed to turn evil for some unknown reason. This made the monkey descendants much more vulnerable to corruption, which explained why the monkey villagers meditated every day. Having earned the truth achievement, I wanted to take on an activity that was a little less dangerous. And then it struck me. Oh my gosh, I just remembered my pottery classes. I need to go there now. On my way there, I met up with Bosong and told him about the other hot springs I'd found, gaining a new friend and a hot spring hat in the process. And right after, I returned to Harbor Town and met up with Popo to begin my lessons. Apparently, there were 4 key things I needed to focus on when making pottery: order, chaos, passion, and calmness. And the degree to which I focused on each would dictate the shape of my piece. To help with my pottery, Popo gave me the drill hat at long last, as well as some starting clay. And with it, I made this. Behold. We still had lots of pottery to make in the future, but I concluded our lesson for the day and shockingly received the letter I'd delivered to Popo all those days ago. Apparently, it wasn't actually meant for them, so he asked me to return it to Keenan. Upon doing so, Keenan told me that the letter was actually meant to go to the big fancy mansion owned by bears who run the trash disposal operation in Harbor Town. In general, the villagers were quite approving of their waste management services since Harbor Town was completely free of garbage. But there was something fishy about it. Keenan told me that he once saw a strange group of people hauling the garbage somewhere else. Who would be willing to take a whole town's worth of garbage. And better yet, to where? I headed straight into the basement of the mansion, taking note of the garbage piled everywhere and a propaganda poster that read, "Leftover clan strives to enrich and fulfill your lives." Further down the hall, I got within earshot of two bears discussing a recent dispatch to Thunder Island. Unfortunately, they noticed me eavesdropping, but under the guise of delivering the letter, I somehow escaped and reported back to Keenan. He told me that Thunder Island was an area south of Harbor Town that nobody goes due to bad weather conditions. It sounded extremely dangerous, so obviously the next logical step was to travel there. Keenan tasked me with retrieving some paddles from his cargo ship, and while I did that, he secured a small rowboat. Slapping on my sailor hat, we set out on the open ocean, navigating rocks, whirlpools, and ramps. Honestly, it really reminded me of the Club Penguin hydro hopper game. Ugh. I love that game. We did smash into some rocks and fend off some sharks, but with a single life remaining, managed to successfully arrive on Thunder Island. And immediately, the cave at the center stood out as suspicious, so I entered and began to explore. I completed some puzzles and moved some battery slime balls into place, ultimately unlocking the passage to our next boss fight. This gigantic thunder eel. Dodging the thunder eel's lightning attacks and jabbing it with my bug net, I was able to defeat them on my first try and remove the trash god emblem that was controlling it. And as it turns out, the thunder eel was a direct descendant of Enki, the divine beast of the sea. I relayed my findings to Keenan, who promised to restore Thunder Island, and for my efforts, he rewarded me with his friendship as well as a sailor's hat that allows you to throw fish. Fantastic. While on the island, I also came across Sung Sung number 31, who needed 3 pieces of clay to repair their balloon. This presented me with the opportunity to try out my drill hat for the first time. I started going at it, drilling in this exact same spot over and over again, yielding more than enough for their balloon repair as well as many future pottery projects. And with that, I returned to Harbor Town and immediately got to work making a bunch of pottery. In fact, I kept going until I'd filled every board in Popo's workshop and earned myself the Pottery Master achievement. Before heading out, I donated all my new stuff to the museum and tended to my weird special crops. I'm particularly fond of this funky brown one. And upon assessing our progress in the various regions, I saw that I still had lots to do in the Moon Forest, so I ballooned there next. I caught a rabbit suit chafer and red longhorn beetle, got an opal, and returned Crick's pickaxe to him, making a new dirt digging friend. Rest in peace, Doogie. This allowed me to finally remove the dirt at the entrance to the Moonlight Village, opening the path to the Dusk Forest. Upon entering, I came across several bugs cleaning up a statue of this tighty-whitey wearing bug named Sir Blanc. According to the people of the Dusk Forest, the identity of the Chosen One came down to underwear color, and given that all of me was white and not just my underwear, I posed a threat to Sir Blanc's authority. To definitively prove that I was the Chosen One, Sir Blanc tasked me with finding the rare dusk flower. After sketching Sir Blanc's throne, one of my better creations, I'd say, I went on the hunt for it and found it hidden at the end of this dark, viney maze. Although this impressed Sir Blanc, he still wasn't entirely convinced, so I was given a new criteria. I needed to have a sheer enthusiasm for tennis and beat the tennis master of the village. Before taking on the village tennis master, I faced off against this normal bug villager, and although I conceded the first point, I was able to tie the match up pretty quickly and keep us neck and neck. I was having a bit of trouble catching up to the ball until I remembered I could run, which immediately made me like 20 times better at the game. Having won this introductory match, I moved on to the main event, my match against the tennis master. Like in my first game, I conceded the first point, but at a 5-5 game point tie, I was able to clutch it, definitively defeating the tennis master. However, to become the tennis master myself and earn the tennis master achievement, I didn't just have to beat them. I had to do it without conceding a single point. I continued to lose points, but it wasn't even my fault. Like, if you get an action replay on this, they clearly hit the ball twice. This little bug is cheating. After over 20 failed matches, I was getting legitimately upset at this minigame, so I decided to come back later. But still, the fact was that I did beat the tennis master, and that was enough to get Sir Blanc to admit that he was only pretending to be the Chosen One. Having exposed Sir Blanc's false claims, I continued on with my exploration through the Dusk Forest, catching the blue longhorn beetle, the last beetle ever, and finding the caterpillar mask, which makes you stronger while striking cool poses. Over the next couple hours, I continued to collect a bunch of fun hats and then returned to the museum to donate the bugs, minerals, and fruits I'd been collecting on my adventures. Not only did we fully complete the beetle installation, but I realized that this plot of land was reserved for the colored fruit display. And knowing this, I headed back to my basement farm and harvested all my fun fruits to donate. While collecting Placing my 15th hard apple in the jungle outskirts, I also caught our final chafer in Rano's bug room, the icicle chafer. Being friends with Crick now and having a way to remove dirt, I ballooned back to the desert to access some new areas to explore. With my dowsing hat, I did a little dance and revitalized another ancient shrew shrine before realizing I had totally forgotten about the cactus monster samples they'd asked for. I reignited the search and revisited the undercavern map I'd drawn out and followed it to our next battle. This led me to a completely new part of the desert with scorched sand and lava pools, and it was there that I found the fire cactus. As intimidating as they seemed though, Mashtis wasn't too challenging. All I had to do was navigate their little lava mazes and avoid rocks, and just like that, I'd received their heart. Following some more mineral collecting, I stumbled across the entrance to the East Sky Crocodiles temple and quickly cleared out all the monsters as the chief priest of the desert had requested. And thus, I had made it to the final battle, our fight with Spikeatus. Like last time, the battle wasn't too difficult, and I quickly collected Spikeatus' spine. With all 3 cactus monster parts in my possession, I returned to the Shrew Village and made friends with Pango, who could remove big cactus piles before giving the materials to the Shrew researcher. This allowed them to finally complete the giant Mecha Shrew. And to my surprise, the Shrew leader designated me as the pilot, even giving me a pilot's helmet so I could communicate with their control center during battles. With no other choice, I headed into the cockpit of the DDATG 5000, put on my pilot's helmet, and with the entire Shrew civilization counting on me, launched an attack on the first giant cactus monster. I was completely unqualified for this task, and it became very clear when I took huge damage in the first second. I started to get the hang of it eventually, attacking whenever the monster recharged and defending whenever it attacked. In my second attempt, I played a lot more defensively and learned that charging up the laser does tons more damage. I was just barely hanging on with 4 health, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Third time's the charm though, and this time I managed to do it. Having defeated the giant cactus monster, the shrews were now free to return above ground, so I returned to the Temple of Fire to claim our next sigil. And at last, I had been granted the Sigil of Fire, and in doing so, became friends with the shrew leader. Still, there were many things remaining that threatened the shrew way of life, namely the 3 other giant cactus monsters in the desert, so I agreed to take them all out, defeating the shield cactus as well as the lava cactus, and leaving one final titan to defeat. The rock cactus. And I continued to lose to the rock cactus, racking up an impressive 9 defeats in a row until I finally came out on top. With the Mech Warrior achievement now under my belt, I returned to a very grateful Shrew Village and received so much golden furniture as a reward. And having finally freed the shrews, I returned to some of my own personal quests, and chief among them was finding the Legendary Fisherman in the desert. I stumbled across this desert sea, which seemed kind of promising, but instead of the hat that I desired, I found only a hard apple. Disappointed, I continued my exploration through the desert, returning to the place where I first fought Mashtis, and it was here that I stumbled across the Flame Village. Although the Legendary Fisherman wasn't here, this place offered something arguably better, that being the infamous Deadly Tracks race. To fully complete the region, I had to place first in every single racetrack difficulty, but the competition was stiff. Take Doki, for example, a heartless hedgehog that abandoned their family to pursue racing. Abandoned it? Wait, what? So, eager to test my skill, I paid the entry fee and entered the beginner's track. I dodged pools of lava, weaved between spinning turbines, and ultimately got first place. I was feeling incredibly good about that win, so I moved on to the intermediate track. But this time, I found myself quickly falling behind. I managed to claw back a pitiful second place finish, but on my second attempt, I won by a huge margin, unlocking the final and most advanced track. On my first go, I found myself with a comfortable early lead, but Doki the Hedgehog was coming in hot, and somehow managed to outmaneuver me right at the end. Seems like abandoning their family for racing was truly paying off. But I wasn't gonna give up so easily. I headed straight into a rematch, and this time, the roles were reversed. Doki was in the lead, but I was hot on their little hedgehog tail and managed to overtake them right before the finish line. I secured first place in the hardest racing category and got the Need for Speed achievement in the process. After receiving a party hat from the King of Speed themselves, I checked back in with the Chief Priest of the Desert, and having cleared the Sky Crocodile's temple earlier, he amplified my Divine Beast powers. This meant I now had 3 slots unlocked, and it was literally in that moment that I realized I was supposed to put my totems in these slots. With the Sigil of Fire now in my possession, I headed back to the heart of the world and returned it to its rightful place, leaving only 2 sigils remaining. As I made my way to the Applewoods to unlock the final area of our central map, I stumbled across yet another altar, and checking my adventure journal, I noticed I had just 1 butterfly left to get. And somehow, among all the insects flying around, I actually managed to snag the one I needed. I ballooned straight to the museum to officially complete the butterfly exhibit and tossed our icicle chafer in to finish that exhibit as well. With 3 out of the 7 displays now complete, I headed back to the Applewoods and made my way south to the ocean, where I met the Hermit Crab Village chieftain. According to them, the Hermit Crab Village, once known for its fishing, was rendered almost empty when a rumor began spreading that holes were appearing in the middle of the ocean. As a result of it, many villagers had even gone missing, including Arthur Jr.'s dad. Look at Arthur Jr. in that picture. I would die for Arthur Jr., and I'm not kidding. Despite its dwindling population, there were still some stores open, so I bought all of the flooring options as well as a swimming cap and hermit crab hat. Having snapped my swimming cap on, I approached the water and solved the water beetle's puzzle, gaining the ability to swim. And with this, I hopped into the ocean and began exploring the surrounding areas. With a bit more paddling around, I stumbled upon this fish farm in the west, navigating these obstacles until I came across a fisherman's note. Their account seemed to confirm the existence of the massive holes in the ocean, saying that they watched one swallow up an entire ship and its crew. That does not sound good. And as I made my way through, I caught my first glimpse of the holes that the fisherman had described. Oh, Nelly. That's not an ocean hole. That's like space. I swam onward to the northern fish farm and stumbled across this little shack with a freaking otter skeleton inside. This better not be Arthur Sr., I swear to God. With another hard apple collected, I made my way into the vast sea beyond. And it was not looking good. I'll be real with you. I watched an entire ship get swallowed up by one, and before I knew it, I was getting sucked in too. I woke up in some sort of underwater temple, solving some Rico's Chili Works adjacent puzzles to escape. I almost got sucked right back in too, but thankfully, I was saved by Maddie the manatee, who showed up in a bubble on top of the island and managed to bring me safely ashore. Maddie turned out to be an acolyte of Enki, the divine beast of the sea, and had been saving all the villagers sucked into the ocean holes. According to them, the trash god was the one responsible for these holes, and looking at my round body, strong muscles, and confident gaze, they immediately knew that I was the one chosen to save them all. To do so, though, they told me that I first needed to find Enki's hat, located in the Temple of the Sea God, to harvest their powers. Before setting off to find it, though, I spoke with all the other survivors under Maddie's care, one of which was Arthur Jr.'s dad. He gave me a sentimental piece of coral to gift to his son upon my return, and uplifted by this good news, I traveled confidently to Enki's temple. Inside, I found yet another Rico's Chili Works puzzle, but this one was deceptively hard. I was always either one piece short, or I had all the pipes connected with an extra one left over. It was so infuriating. I genuinely got so frustrated that I ballooned back to the Hermit Crab Village to give Arthur Jr. the good news. And given the catastrophic state of the ocean, Arthur Jr. wanted to assist by removing any coral that might be blocking my path. With his help, I got myself another hard apple, but still, the idea of returning to that horrible plumbing puzzle was so upsetting. Instead, I returned to the jungle to see if my new beetle powers would unlock any new areas for us. And sure enough, a quick swim across this pond led me into the Temple of Dance. After a quick little monkey dance and a bit of exploration, I found an important looking key which I used to unlock the Dance Shaman's room. It was simply a dance battle. Whoever controlled the most platforms won, and let me tell you, this guy sucked. I completely dunked on this fool, occupying 11 out of the 12 dance platforms by the end of it. For this victory, I received the Hat of Dance as well as another totem. And upon checking my adventure journal, I saw that I'd fully completed everything in the jungle. Our first finished region. I decided to move on to the Moonlight Forest to tie up loose ends there as well. Most notably, I deciphered the gourmet ladybug's preferred slime jelly meal and looted their corpse, which turned out to be the last task to complete that region. Having made such great progress, I decided to make a stop at the museum and donate some new gems and fish. And with just one mineral left to get, we were getting super close to finishing the exhibits as well. However, the antiques were an entirely different story. You see, it was at this point that I realized Edison's research assistant was selling a ton of these hints, each one a kind of mini quest indicating the location of an artifact piece. I purchased a bunch of them to start off, but I was so confused about what to do that I just decided that was a job for future Charlie and focused my attention on catching fish. Not long after throwing my first piece of bait, I caught myself a sunfish as well as a saw-edged perch, and with those two tossed in the museum, I'd caught all the fish available in Harbor Town, and I realized that left me with just one side quest to complete the area, to give Muddy something to eat. I cooked up a prickly pear with an herb of the squall, which seemed to satisfy their appetite, and in return, I got a poop hat. Fantastic. I decided to head next to the desert. I knew we still had a lot of stuff left to do, but most importantly, we needed to find the legendary fisherman. I wandered around the underground cavern searching for any type of clue until I noticed among the flying crocodile cave art, there were a couple of fish symbols as well. The same as the one the monkey fisherman had told me about. Standing in front of the symbol, I chowed down on a grilled fish and revealed a hidden chest, inside of which was Tsum Tsum balloons. Not what I was hoping for. But I started noticing these fish symbols everywhere throughout the cavern, and upon activating them, found no sign of the legendary fisherman. That was until I found one that wasn't just a secret chest. I made my way through this cave passageway, and at the very end, I found them. The legendary fisherman, just sitting there chatting it up with a fish. At the end of this long journey, I had finally earned myself the legendary fishing hat. Not only could I finally catch some of the rarer fish now, but I'd also managed to officially complete everything in the desert. With that region now checked off, I ballooned to the complete opposite climate, taking on the handful of tasks we had yet to do in Snowfield. And as soon as I touched down, I headed to the ocean for a swim, stumbling across a colony of penguins, which I proceeded to slap. But as I drew Penguin Island, I noticed that this penguin colony was harboring a secret. I slapped them around some more, sliding them in front of various survival tools and utensils until, at last, the secret was revealed. These were bears stuck in penguin bodies? I'll be honest, I'm a little confused on that one. Casting it out of mind, I returned some festive decorations to this reindeer and found the final 2 heart apples in the region, meaning that Snowfield was also fully completed now. And so, I traveled back to the central forest to make some more progress in that region, probably the least explored of them all. With Crick's help, I was finally able to tear down this pile of dirt and make my way to the Temple of Bat, the divine beast of the earth. But their shrine was completely covered in mud, and in order to cleanse it, I first needed to unlock the path to these 2 boulders. In order to do so, I first made my way through a trial by fire, ultimately defeating the sand of the evil god. And on the other side, I solved this glowing mushroom puzzle and shortly after battled the flower of the evil god. 2 very intense fights. With the 2 other boulders now at my disposal though, I was able to clean Bat's shrine and entered. They thanked me for my janitorial duties and then asked me to meet near the heart of the world. Now wearing Bat's hat, I ballooned to the heart of the world and searched around for a while, but I had no idea where this guy was. I mean, at the very least, I did bump back into Olive, the best chef in the world, and took the chance to whip up a grilled gold piranha, the traditional meal from the Village of the Sun. Olive was very impressed and wanted to add the dish to her menu, giving me a recommendation letter to deliver to her restaurant in Harbor Town. At this point, it became clear that finding Bat was just not on the table right now, so I stopped searching and instead headed back to the ocean to continue working toward the Sigil of Water. There, I met up with the chief priest of the water, who tasked me with cleaning up the surrounding altars, and in return, they unlocked our final totem slot. This made me feel extremely confident, so I returned to Enki's temple to have another go at the dumb pipe game. And after an embarrassing amount of time, I was finally able to solve it and move on to the next area. In this next room, I was introduced to the bubble mechanic, which protects baby Ogu from 1 instance of external damage. And for some reason, this prompted a question I feel like I should have asked a while ago. Baby Ogu? Where is my, parent? Remember I had, a family and a house and, where am I? But the path forward for the chosen one was clear, so I snapped out of it and continued on facing my next underwater boss battle. I was kind of freaking out. I had no idea how to hit either of these guys. But then I realized I could just get them to hit each other. For my wit, I was rewarded with Enki's hat, which I began using to seal up the holes in the ocean. I basically just followed the destruction and healed things up until I stumbled into the Silent Sea. With this fun new shark hat I found, I approached the Temple of Water and met the spirit of Enki, the protector of the Sigil of Water. They told me that the power of the evil god had infiltrated the temple and the main entrance had been sealed, so I just took the side door in. Not long after though, I found myself face to face with God's Reverie. I aggressively performed happy dances around this ball of evil, which quickly depleted its health and earned me the Totem of Vitality. With that accomplished, I then took on the last of the temple puzzles, but this one was a doozy. Basically, we needed to place various pieces representing the divine beasts and evil forces into their correct positions, according to the ritual used to separate the god into the 6 sigils. Following the instructions on this stone, I was able to get the puzzle into the right configuration and unlocked all 6 beams of light, diverting them toward the statue and opening the barrier to Enki. But Enki still had the Sigil of Water, and in order to claim it, I would first have to eliminate the power of the evil god. One moment, everything seemed great, and the next, I was peering into the eye of an evil hand. In order to attack this evil entity, I needed to dance on the surrounding divine canvas. cannons. In my first attempt to do so, I got punched, which wasn't great, but by avoiding the massive eye laser and friendliness pellets of its smaller eyeball cronies, I was able to get a couple hits in. As the battle continued on, the arena became more and more destroyed, but with one last little jig and a final shot, the power of the evil god was vanquished. Enki was grateful for my services, and in return, I received the Sigil of Water as well as the Totem of Sacrifice. I exited the temple via Whale Blowhole, the superior form of transportation, sorry Sung Sung, and landed on the beach in Hermit Crab Village completely unscathed. But my job in the ocean wasn't done yet. I immediately dove back into the sea to seal more ocean holes and came across this undersea tunnel where I found an aquamarine, the final mineral for my collection. I also defeated a giant trash barnacle as well as this football fish, and let me tell you, this guy was scary. Like, incredibly awesome, fantastic fight. Best one in the game, probably, but I was peeing my pants the whole time. But eventually, I was able to defeat them and purge the evil spirit that inhabited them. With this done, I ballooned back to the heart of the world to return the Sigil of Water to its rightful place. And this turned out to be the last thing we needed to reach 100% completion for the ocean region. Having finally restored 5 of the 6 sigils, I decided to pay another visit to the Road of Proof, and this time when I presented myself to the beetles, they approved of me and opened up the path to the sanctuary. And this area was beautiful, a secluded enclosure with a huge tree at its center. I just had to do a quick sketch. But I quickly realized this was more than just a pretty place to draw. This was the exact location where Tao had been sealed away after becoming corrupted by the evil god. With Enki's hat, I was able to activate this platform with a little dance, but in order to unseal the sanctuary and face Tao, we needed the powers of all 3 divine beasts. First, I entered the Bat Cave, that's what the cool kids call it, where I was teleported to the mountain peak to speak with Bat, the divine beast of the earth. From them, I received the Totem of Vigor, which left only Rano's power left to collect. Yeah, somehow I still hadn't gotten the crocodile hat yet. Remember that annoying little quest from Croco, like all that time ago? Yep, still haven't done it. I do hope they realize this dumb challenge is preventing me from saving the entire world, though. I stood there for probably like 20 minutes, even eating speed-boosting foods to improve my odds, with nothing but failure. Eventually, though, for no discernible reason, just luck, I guess, I managed to do it. But now that I had Rano's hat in my possession, I could finally travel to the other parts of the Sky Island, taking out the remaining encampments from the mayor's trash plot and obtaining the only heart apple in the region. Once I'd cleared out the last of the bears, I claimed the Totem of Lunacy and officially completed 100% of the Sky Island region. To celebrate, I ballooned back to the museum to donate the aquamarine I'd found in the undersea tunnel, thus completing our mineral collection. And with the hats of all 3 divine beasts, I was finally able to activate the 3 platforms in the sanctuary. Beyond that door was Tao, the corrupted divine beast of wisdom, and with them was our final sigil. My battle against Tao would determine the fate of this world. But as urgent and important as this fight was, I still had a bunch of loose ends I needed to tie up first. Like, I get it, the world's ending, but I'm sorry, I needed to create a tasting menu for Olive's restaurant. Having handed over her recommendation letter, I was now in charge of running a shift in the restaurant, meaning I chose the 4 dishes that would be served that night. As a seasoned diner dash veteran, this restaurant shift was easy peasy for me, and upon receiving 5 stars for my service, I obtained the chef achievement. With that done, my next order of business was purchasing the rest of the funky fruits from this sloth merchant and donating them to the museum to complete our exhibit. And after, I wanted to put my Legendary Fisherman's hat to the test and catch the remaining fish that we needed. I got a sturgeon in the Village of the Sun and a snow carp in Snowfield, but this left just 2 fish left to catch, and I couldn't find them for the life of me. But through literal divine intervention, an altar appeared before me, which led to a room containing every fish in the game. Thankfully, I was able to release the ones I knew I'd already gotten, and after a bit of trial and error, I nabbed this beautiful specimen, the Moonlight fish, which left just 1 more to catch. I figured while I waited for another altar to pop up, I could start working on these artifact hints I'd bought from Edison's antique shop like 50 years ago. Using my drill hat, I found our first piece of artifact and then had my portrait done by Maltese. Beautiful, yet haunting. I began in the Moonlight Village and just moved around the map, solving 1 hint at a time. And after digging up an artifact piece in the mouth of this eel skull, I finally stumbled across another altar and managed to catch the anglerfish, the final fish for the museum. But the artifact hunt continued, and things were going pretty smoothly. And eventually, it was down to the final hint, in the largest snout to the stomach of the forest. I had no idea what that meant, so I tried drilling at the mouth of the sanctuary cave and accidentally started the final battle sequence. No, I entered on accident! I was trying to find the largest snout! Can I go? Oh, thank God. Let me finish first. After that mishap, I found the final artifact piece in front of this cave and donated the last of our fish to the museum. And this left just the artifacts to repair before the museum was completed. One by one, I started fixing them up with all the pieces I'd collected. These artifacts included, among other sculptures, one of each divine beast. With the restoration of each statue came a memory, and together, they told the story of Tao's downfall. Tao was as reckless as he was generous, offering gifts like fire to the shrews without God's permission. This generosity and kindness was what made him vulnerable to the evil god, who persuaded him to steal one of the sigils so he'd be granted the power to bestow more gifts to his people. One day, Enki was performing the ritual at the heart of the world and purifying their god's dangerous thoughts, when suddenly the sanctity of the space was broken. The wildlife broke in, followed by Tao, who jumped in and stole the sigil of the tree. And this brought us to today, and my final battle against Tao, which I'd been putting off to finish the artifact exhibit. With the museum now fully complete, the chamber that had been sealed for years burst open with golden light, and walking through, I found Gogo, the museum caretaker, inside. They granted me Tao's hat as well as our final heart apple, which brought us to full completion in Harbor Town. At this point, I switched gears and began cooking all the recipes before stopping by Maltese's house and showing off all of my drawings. Graciously, he proudly displayed my art on the walls alongside the portrait that he'd painted of me, and for my artistic talent, I was given a painter's hat as well as our final friend. But speaking of hats, my hat collection had grown considerably since I'd first donned my adventurer's hat back home. However, there were still quite a few we had yet to collect, especially those that could be upgraded. So I headed into my Monkey Village basement and did just that, enhancing all of my headgear with various resources we'd gathered on our adventures. I also realized that I'd totally spaced visiting the Shrew Village market, so I stopped there and went on a shopping spree. Most notably, I picked up the cowboy hat, and with 2 upgrades to this beautiful piece of headgear, I had fully completed our hat collection. And following 2 gambling sessions with this little bug, I received the final 2 cooking dishes we'd been missing and rounded off our recipe book as well. Okay, now before we defeat Tao, we have one big trial to face: the tennis achievement. I went into my first match with the tennis master, somehow hopeful that I'd be able to beat them first try, but unfortunately, it was going as poorly as it did the first time. But before wasting another hour of my life losing tennis matches to this insect, I decided to scroll through my wide selection of hats, just hoping there was something that could give me an edge. And lo and behold, I had an upgraded knight's helmet that extended the reach of my racket. With this added range, I managed to win my first point and then another. I felt so confident I was hitting the ball back from the center line. With just one change of a hat, my tennis skills had improved astronomically, and on my first try, I was easily able to beat the tennis master 6-0. But now that I was the official tennis master, we had just one collectible left to get before we could face Tao. And once I had all 12 totems in my possession, I chose the 4 I liked the best and made my way into the sanctuary. I entered the cave, and as I carried on through the tunnels, ran into a familiar face. Oh, it's the bird! You cannot leave until you defeat the evil sealed in the heart of the world. Would you like to proceed? Let's do this! Hello! I was able to get a couple hits in, but I had a feeling that my lucky tennis helmet wasn't gonna do me any good against a divine monkey corrupted by the very incarnation of evil. So I switched to my upgraded silk moth crystal ball, a hat that shoots projectiles. And once I got the timing down, I was doing some serious damage. And with one final shot from my silk moth crystal ball, I brought Tao down to 0 health. But clearly that didn't mean this was over. You may have dodged my attacks with your tiny body, but you won't evade this one. Okay, alright, we don't have to go there. Tao sent out a blast of purple energy, knocking me out. The feather! What is that feather? I can sense the power of God emanating from it. Doesn't matter, this will be the end. I see. You're the bird that entered the cave when the barrier broke, just as Tao was stealing the sigil. During that ritual, you must have received a part of God's power. I said! Starting to think this thing is like a god. I will absorb your power and devour this entire world. No! With the power of Tao, the sigil of the tree, and now the god bird, that was my best friend. This evil god seemed practically unstoppable. Oh, this is just not going too well. Friends, help me, please. Paul! Arthur Jr.! Baby Ogu was not looking too hot, but thanks to Kiki's healing spell, I woke up somewhere deep underground. And sure enough, all of our friends were pitching in to help. Frick was going absolutely hammy with his shovel. Keenan was getting in some solid hits. Arthur Jr.! I continued onward before getting ambushed by 6 massive garbage monsters. But thankfully, the Silk Moth hero and Shrew leader came to my rescue. Suddenly though, this eyeball hand returned and pinned them down. And in this most dire moment, I heard an all too familiar voice scream out to me, "This way." Oh, no. I do not trust this little bird. I guess there's no other way. Follow that white bird. No! He's evil! It's so over for us, little bird. But when the evil god's fist slammed down, the white bird somehow banished the eyeball hand. Let's go. What the? All right, you can't do this kind of thing. I'll share my power with you. Putting one of the white bird's feathers in my adventurer's hat, I was now able to teleport. All right, let's go. Oh, that's horrifying. In an instant, I was teleported to the jungle. Instinctually, I made my way up to the top of the temple and vanquished the first part of the evil god's heart. That's 1 down, 4 to go. Teleporting back up to the skies, the white bird and I managed to dodge all of the evil god's attacks before I was sent back down into the jelly mines. I killed the second heart piece, and then in the desert, I eliminated the third. And with only 2 heart pieces remaining, the evil god's attacks were getting harder and harder to evade, but the white bird and I managed to hold out just a little longer. Okay, one more! Suddenly, I was back in Harbor Town, and with the final piece of the evil god's heart destroyed, the white bird flew me back into the sky, setting me up for one final blow and knocking Tao down. Our final sigil. Before returning the sigil of the tree to its rightful place, I first had to do a little monkey dance with my monkey hat on in front of Tao for the consolation achievement. It seemed quite disrespectful, I will not lie. But in any case, I think the Divine Beast of Wisdom would be happy to see the sigil he stole being returned to the heart of the world. And just like that, all 6 sigils were finally reunited. Whoa. Oh my, what is that creature? So it turns out this was God. Having saved the world, baby Ogu got to enjoy some light conversation, but unfortunately, they told me that this world wasn't my home. The god explained that in order to maintain the peace and stability I'd fought for, all connections to the outer world had to be severed. Even your memories. No! I can't thank you enough for your help in saving this world. Get on my back when you're ready. All right, I think I'm ready to go. Before leaving for good, I got one last look at the world we'd saved. The village of the sun where I was first kidnapped, the bugs in their color-coded underwear, the racers in Flame Village, and with one final wave from Arthur Jr. and Arthur Sr., I returned home. Time to go home. You're home so late. I've been waiting for you forever. Look, I was on a whole... Don't even get me started. Baby Ogu may never remember the adventures they had collecting all the sigils and saving the world, but with this absolute beauty of a statue, their legacy will never fade. Oh my gosh. I really enjoyed that game. Oh, what are you drawing? Your dreams. Okay, not to hate, but where is Arthur Jr.? Oh my goodness, what an adventure. At long last, we had reached 100% in Ogu in the Secret Forest. From collecting all the hats to completing the museum to making a bunch of new friends to saving the world, it was truly a wild ride. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I would absolutely love to have you here, and it means a bunch. Once again, a giant thank you to Ogu in the Secret Forest for sponsoring this video, and my genuine, unbiased opinion, this game is fantastic. I really do recommend it. And if you think you're ready to experience this adventure as the perfect creature that is Ogu, definitely click the link down below and go grab it while it's on sale. They also just updated the game to include a bunch of new action and combat improvements as well as optimizations, so there's a lot of fun to be had in exploring this game. Alright, with that, I will see you guys next time. Bye!